Mark Mitchell, and I'm here with Carolyn D. Flores. Carolyn, I've got you up on the screen.
Very cool.
And with your trumpets. They're not actually your trumpets.
No, they're JC's trumpets.
Yeah.
I told them to
Fantastic. And you can see Carolyn's guitar over there. I was trying to talk her into playing some music for us, but I don't think she's going to do that tonight. We'll have to do that some other time. Our loss. Let me give you an idea of what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm going to be introducing Carolyn, and then we're going to ask her some questions. We're going to see some of her watercolor work to start with. This is going to be kind of an open, informal visit with Carolyn, who has illustrated 3 books for Arte Publico Press, and one of them is Canta Rana Canta, which is a very favorite Mexican. Did I pronounce it right?
Canta.
Canta?
Canta, yeah.
Canta Rana Canta, Sing Froggy Sing. Famous, a favorite piece of folklore, Spanish language folklore from Mexico or South America, and a great example of, you can just take a song and turn it into a picture book. And the publisher of Arte, there's a YouTube video with the publisher of Arte Publico Press singing the song with his guitar and performing the story at a book festival where Carolyn was signing books. Her other book is by the well-known
Renee Saldana.
Renee Saldana, well-known Mexican-American author. And is he a poet also?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's about a birthday celebration with a piñata, and that is Dale, Dale, Dale. Hit it, hit it, hit it. And Carolyn did lovely illustrations for that, and she's got a new one coming out pretty soon from Arte Publico. It's a surprise for Teresita by Dr. Virginia Sanchez Corral. Did I pronounce that correctly? Carolyn is also the illustrator coordinator of the San Antonio, South Texas chapter of SCBWI. So we're just delighted to have.
And I did the other book. The other book was with Mountain Press, Daughters of Two Nations, and that's a YA nonfiction.
Daughters of Did you say creative nonfiction? And we'll show some.
YA. It's YA.
It's a YA. Okay.
Yeah, and that won the Stepping Stones award last year.
Great. And there is a link to Carolyn's website on the Google event page.
Which should have been updated. I haven't updated that.
It should have been updated. And
so can you see people here? Because I can see nothing.
I'm just checking the event page. I'm refreshing the event page because I don't see it broadcasting yet, but it should be broadcasting. Carolyn.
Oh, is anyone there?
Yeah, there are people. I'm sure there are people there. I've got my. Let's hold down the page here. Let me. Hang on just a second, Carolyn. I'm going to go to the. This would be a good time to get out your guitar. Yeah, we are broadcasting. It is live, and there are people there saying hello. Hi, Steph. Hi, Kim. Hi, Akiko. Akiko says, "Yay, you are awesome." Oh, I think
is there any way for me to see the feed?
I'm going to give you the link.
Is it send it to my email?
I'm going to put it in the little chat box right inside the control room. And you can click that. It will open up on your other browser, okay? It won't open up in the same browser. So you'll have 2 browser windows open.
Got it. I just hit it.
Great. And for some reason, that's not streaming on my laptop, so I'll have to go back and forth to the screen. Yeah, Carolyn is a joy and so much fun. And those of you who know Carolyn know what I'm talking about. And she's got so much energy and so much creativity. And she's so talented. And there's Charlotte on the screen. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
Carolyn has a broad background. She was a computer programming analyst, and she's been a composer, and she had a rock band, an all-girl rock band, and she wrote music for some films. And she's has been a fine artist who has exhibited all over the state of Texas and beyond. And I was at a gallery with my wife Sunday, and we were looking at, I guess it was Saturday evening. We were at Blue Star Gallery in San Antonio, terrific contemporary art gallery. And Carolyn was just telling me that she's had shows there as well. She's got a big shopping list of things I asked her to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about composition, gesture, watercolor painting, and we're going to talk about getting organized, what organization means to a freelance illustrator, why it's so important. We're going to talk about working with mentors. Carolyn's mentor is the incredible E.B. Lewis, wonderful fine artist and children's book illustrator, of some of the top children's authors in the world. And we're going to talk about multicultural publishing, and we're going to talk about anything you guys want to talk about in addition to those. And if you have questions, just type them into the Google Plus description box, the comment box. Donna just texted me to say that the broadcast is working. Thanks, Donna. Great. And so just put your questions in the chat box there, and we'll ride herd on those, and we'll get those to Carolyn. We'll do our best to answer everything you guys will throw at her. I know you're going to have a lot of fun with this. The replay will be up on the same event page after the live event is over, so you can catch things you might have missed or didn't quite understand. The replays are always fun to watch. This whole program tonight is being sponsored by the Make Your Marks and Splashes course on children's book illustration, and the link to that course is in the description box, which is over to the right of the video or the broadcast stream. And the course is on sale this month, 25% off, and the sale code is there in the description box as well. You want to use that if you sign up for the course through the month of July. Okay, Carolyn, let's start by showing some of your killer watercolor pieces, just to kind of
Here came Kiko.
So we got a Kiko cake illustrator. The course is on sale this month, and we'll have to turn your.
Now I'm hearing. Okay, wait.
Yeah, just turn the volume down on the broadcast, or turn it off on the.
Yeah, I was listening to it on a different page, on a different screen, so that's
very
why
good.
I'm doubling up. That's cool.
Akiko's in her incredible barn house. And there's Emma. There's Emma. Hey, Emma.
Okay. Hi, babe. Okay, you want me to go ahead and switch and so we can start?
Yeah. Let's go switch and start. So and we got.
I'm gonna screen share.
I got all dolled up, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm not going to be on TV.
No, there you are.
Okay, so are you guys seeing the screen share, right?
We're seeing it now. I'm seeing it now. There'll be a little delay before everybody else sees it.
Okay, so this is an example of some of the new work. This is watercolor. This is straight watercolor. In other words, I do a lot of studies, do a lot of drawings, and then I just come in and do watercolor on, the arches, 300, and I'm really excited about this because I'm really excited about the palette. You'll see that this is a lot looser than my stuff used to be, and I love the idea of doing like stainless steel and stuff with just blotches. You can see that. I thought we'd just kind of go through some stuff real quickly. So
that's a good idea. Yeah.
The stuff that we talked about.
Yeah.
So here's an example of watercolor. I'm just going to speed through them. This is an example of my workspace. So I don't really use these big palettes anymore. I use the little round ones, but and I write all my notes in marker on those round ones, so that enables me to save the palette for, let's say, snow cone bottles or vendor's shirt or, Dedicate dress or, things like that. So, but I'm very, very enamored of watercolor. I started working with EB about 2 years ago, and it was a while before we actually got to watercolor. But this was I think this was my very first attempt at watercolor. I'm almost positive. That's probably why I took this picture. Here we go. This is an example of the book, the Las Carpas stuff that we're working on. That's for another publisher. This is watercolor, very saturated over pencil. So what I did was I drew the pencil, and then I took the actual 300-pound press arches, fit it through the printer like a 13 by 19, and as it came out, when it came out, I mounted it, and then I painted using those, using the light print, so that I wouldn't have to redraw it. But now I pretty much redraw everything. I think it's a lot easier than playing these games with trying to, and it's looser too. I really like.
Now, when you say
one piece.
When you say redraw, Carolyn, are you talking about with a light box or freehand?
Freehand usually, or
Okay.
or with a. I just got a brand new maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's this new brand new light box. It's really thin, and you can see through like really heavy paper enough to get proportions. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So because there's no point. I mean, I started in oil, and I did those huge grids. Those were just. It's just really time-consuming and draining. If you can just get the basic proportions down, and then you can just really have fun with each section as you go, it's a lot more. It's a lot better. So I mean, I absolutely encourage people to use a light box if they have one to transfer their image.
Very good. Yeah,
Sure.
it's great.
Sure.
Now, have you got some of your crushed graphite in this initial group of pictures you're going to show us?
So I'm just showing you some color. Some color work.
Okay.
And I love the idea of doing things that are very light and defining them by the background. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, I like this, like ice and stuff around bottles, grays, things like that. I put this in here to give an example of what the drawing looks like, because this was back to when I was still doing the drawings. Then I would transfer them, print them out, and then paint using those the drawing underneath. I don't do that anymore because I think it does muddy it a little too much. Although here it kind of worked well because there was so much, that the idea of the vintage look was kind of cool. But that's how similar my paintings are to the drawings. And we were talking earlier. I put together a folder for you. We were talking earlier about the idea that you wanted me to show some real watercolors here, and I told you that almost every time I put a watercolor on Facebook or something like that, it sells like almost immediately. And you said, tell people that. And I said, why? And you said, because they want to know that kind of stuff. And I said, okay. But here's the thing. I really noticed going through these tubs today that, and we spoke about this earlier, only like 3% of the work is actually in color. I mean, almost all of the work is drawings. And so we'll get to this folder that I just prepared for you. Well, first of all, let me show you some black and whites. Okay, so here we go. This is this particular piece. E.B. and I talked a lot about how I was going to do this particular book. This is the railroad tracks, the ghosts at the railroad tracks in San Antonio, and I really wanted to do it in black and white. And he said, what you need to do is get powdered graphite, and you just sprinkle it on, vellum, and then be working with that. Use powdered graphite.
I'm sorry. The white spaces are erasures.
Yeah, that was what I was going to get to, because I take this picture to all the kids, school visits, and I was really, I think I was listening to some Godzilla movies in the background, and like Valley of the Guanji, and so I was trying to get into that space, and we'll see in a little bit the extent I went to get this kind of stuff. Wow. But I mean, to get just to immerse myself in this world. But basically, I started realizing that the spirit coming out of each kid would be better drawn in eraser. So I prepared 3 different types of erasers, and I started really drawing everything in eraser. So if you'll notice, it's almost all pulled off.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And I tried to do the entire book that way, but it got really messy really quickly. But I really, really love this. And here's the thing about this. We had talked earlier about the fact, I told you, I said, if somebody is not inventing their own equipment to get the drawing that they need or to get the rendering they need for print, I don't think that they're working hard enough. And you and I think we disagreed about that. Is that correct, Mark?
No, I was listening. I was intrigued. I was wondering, I wonder what kind of art instrument I can invent, and I was hard pressed to think of anything. But
well, you know, the idea is that you have a vision in your head, and you don't just use what is sold. You know, you do whatever you need to do to get that mark. And you know, it's always about the mark. I mean,
and experimentation. Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't even see it as experimentation. I just see it as trying to. I wish I was one of those people that's really loose and does a lot of sketches. Jennifer Gray Olson, oh my God, she does these warm-ups every day, and I see them posted on Facebook, and I just go, whoa. I mean, yeah. I just don't do that. I mean, I'm like, how can I best get that railroad post sign to barely glint out of the darkness? You know, everything I do has a purpose. You know, I wish I could be looser, but I'm just not. So here we go. Okay. This, I love this, and I'm gonna tell you, this is from a project I'm working on, Beauty and the Beast. It's actually called Beauty and the Jaguar Beast, and this is really cool because the story behind it is really, really cool, and I want to show you in a minute what happened. But you want to, if we could switch back to us, I'm going to switch back to screen, okay?
Okay, great.
And I know I pulled it out here somewhere, just so that we could use this. Hold on. Where is, I mean, I pulled it out especially for us. Oh, come on.
You look for it. I'm going to talk to Akiko for just a second.
Sure.
Akiko, that was we're going to show one of your cakes that you made for one of Carolyn's signings in a minute. Oh. And I heard great things about your cake at Bethany's baby shower.
Oh yeah. Enjoyed seeing her. Yeah, it was fun.
You're making like a cake every day for somebody or another, aren't you? It seems like.
Actually, I haven't been this last. I got sick after I came back from my trip, and I haven't really made until Bethany's cake came along, and I've got some other ones. But I've had people even ask me for cakes a year out.
A year out, wow!
A year out, yeah.
We'll put your website link up in the description box after this is over, so people can go to it and see what the heck we're talking about. We might even link to the
cakes and.
So Akiko's a children's book illustrator, but she does an awful lot of her illustrations with cake and cake icing. And
Akiko's in my critique group.
She's in Carolyn's critique group, and she's the former illustrator coordinator of the San Antonio chapter, and now Carolyn's serving that function, and they're great buddies. So that's really fun that you could join us tonight, Akiko. Okay, Carolyn, are you ready?
I didn't find it. We went through so much stuff today.
Do you have the watercolor of the watercolor? Remember we were showing the big version, the snow cones.
You mean in front of me?
Yeah,
I do.
To give them a sense of the scale of your work. You've already done that.
I have one of the original studies. Like I said, I spelled everything pretty quickly. So, and that, since those are studies, it's not for the book, but if you'll see, this is like an original watercolor. Can you see it?
Yep, that gives us a great idea of the scale that you're working in with your paintings. Even though acknowledged, this is a study that you were doing.
Yeah, this was one of my first versions. But you can see it's just way too busy, you know. Yeah. I was really intrigued by the geometrics on his shirt, and I wanted his shirt to have that snow cone palette.
Yeah.
I thought it succeeded, but it just was just too confusing in silhouette, you know, or when you look at it from a long distance. I have some other watercolors here. This was an original. You know, I hadn't seen these. In a long, long time. But can you see this?
Hold it still and hold it.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a sense of it.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Because I can't see. Okay, so there's one, and then here's that one that I was mentioning to you. Okay, here we had. So right here. So there you go. I can't see because my stuff is blocked.
Yeah, yeah, but that looks, yeah, that's fine. That's in focus. We can see it, and that has that vintage look you were talking about for sure.
You can see it's just arches.
Really neat. Yeah.
Paper.
Arches paper. Okay.
So,
Carolyn, I put the link to the event page up there inside our chat room, and if you want to.
Well, you know, I'm going to show some of these others in a minute, but I thought you might want to see what the drawings actually look like. Can you see this?
Yeah. What's that done in?
This is just pencil. This is colored pencil, but pencil nonetheless. So you see, I do like a lot of these, a lot of drawings.
Boy, no kidding.
You know, I look at these didn't even make the picture. I mean, these are just fabric studies. You know, original drawings that I thought might be a really good composition. Mm-hmm. You know, again, as craziness. You know, I mean, if you look at something like this, I actually built a little circus for the book, and it's about the size of. It would be take up the whole drawing board, and this is colored pencil. So you can see it's just
this
paper.
Was a tent you put up in your living room. You were telling me earlier.
Yeah, it's in my living room still. You want to see something crazy? Let me see if I can. I'm kind of don't want to do this because I'm pretty happy with the look right here. But
you're gonna take
look at this ridiculousness I do. Look at that. Do you see the model of the? Is that so stupid? I do
the model of the frog or the model of the on top of the box? Or?
The building. I made those stairs and I have like a little apartment on the inside of that. It's ridiculous, you know. And
yeah, it gives us some insight into why your pictures are selling right off Facebook like hotcakes. So
I don't know about that, but I tell you what. One of my very first portfolio reviews was with Julian Hector at the Austin SCBWI. And he was looking at my picture and he goes, you know what? He goes, is that? And he just kept going. He goes, is that a mannequin? And I go, because I was building mannequins of the kids.
Uh-huh.
You know? They were like life size. It was so ridiculous. I mean, I would dress them and you would hold them and they almost felt like babies. I mean, it was crazy.
Okay, well, hey, listen, in a second, let's look through that dummy you're working on that has so many of those fine gestural drawings of kids, some of your most recent work with kids, and they don't look like mannequins at all. But also, Carolyn, some questions.
So you don't think I'm an idiot. Here we go.
Yeah, let's show some and hold it up closer to the camera a little bit, and then hold still so we can focus on it because it'll take. There you go. So these don't look like mannequins. These look like
these are very often, you know,
real children. Yeah, and we're going to talk in a minute about how you achieve these gestures, and you've just come an incredibly long way in a very short time with your technique.
Well, but you know, this is a pretty good story about Pat Cummings, and it'll lead right into the Jaguar beast.
Okay.
The thing is, so I saw Pat Cummings in L.A. and Julian took her class at Parsons, and she was telling me, you know, great things about Julian, and I go, yeah. Well, he said, are you using mannequins? And I told her that I told him yes, and he goes, don't do that, right? and so I said, so I stopped and I put them, you know, I said I stopped using them, and I started just, you know, doing more sketches, people's sketches, you know, wherever I could, and using more, you know, just more relaxed style. And then she told me, we're like in the elevator at SCBWI LA, just Pat Cummings and me, and we're like going, you know, up the elevator, and she looks at me and she goes, you still have them, don't you? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you still have the buddies, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. What do you do with them? And I said, I have them in little tubs. I mean, it's just they're like in this storage area, but see, so Pat and I became really, really great friends. So that leads me to the Jaguar beast, because what happened was, those of you that were at LA SCBWI last year, she gave a presentation. Akiko, you were there, and she did a painting. As she was presenting, she was doing a painting from Beauty and the Beast, her book, right? And after it, she called me up and said, hey, Carolyn, I have a present for you. And she gave me the painting that she was working on, that she painted during the class. And she said, just finish this for me. And I was like, whoa, how cool. So Akika was there because I went into like the lounge area where people were having drinks, and I told Evie, I go, hey, Pat told me to finish this drawing for her, painting for her, and Evie grabs it and he goes, don't you dare. Do you know the price of that will go down like that? I go, oh, okay. And but what I ended up doing was taking a version of that and converting it to a Mayan version of Beauty and the Beast. And I gave it to her in New York, and she really loved it. And so I'm going to be taking a boot camp with her in September, both Denise Fleming and Pat Cummings.
Very exciting. Denise Fleming's work is so exciting too.
I didn't realize you guys are looking at me instead of the screen. Here we go.
You gonna show us? What are you going to show us?
Okay, so here again, these are some studies for that.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Did the Mayans worship the jaguar like the Aztecs?
I don't think they worshiped the jaguar, but it certainly was a totem of sorts.
A totem. That's what
you know
I
mean?
what I mean.
And I'm just using that word. That would probably be the word that they use. But
yeah.
Let's see here. So here's some of the black and whites that I used. I went to a lot of trouble to do this particular piece. I really love it, and I'm hoping to do something with that eventually. And then again, you see these. So, did you want me to just really quick go through the slideshow of the stuff that we were talking about?
Well, yeah. Hang on just a second. Let me. We've got some questions that have already started piling in, and I didn't want to forget the questions. But let's.
Do you want me to switch back?
Yeah, let's switch back and take a few minutes of questions, and then from the group, and then yes, I do want to go back to the drawings.
Okay. I cannot see the questions.
I'm going to give them to you. I'm reading them now. I'm looking at them now. So Karen is saying, thanks for being here, Carolyn. Your work is beautiful. How do you work with E.B. Lewis, and what recommendations do you have for working with a mentor?
Have a really thick skin. I mean,
you want to elaborate on that?
I love working with E.B. E.B., oh my gosh. For instance, the book that I just showed you guys, this. Well, I was pretty happy with the ideas, and this is an example of a first black and white that you would send in to, you have a deadline for your first version of the book. Okay. And I send it in PDF form, and so we had talked a lot about this, but then he went to France, and I just went off on my own and did some stuff, and he came back and he goes, "Oh my God, you've gone rogue." he goes, "What happened? What happened to this particular drawing of the girl when she was looking at, and you had all this stuff, and the gesturals were gorgeous. What happened with that?" And it reminded me of two things. It is really easy to lose focus. You start to get, really happy about certain little things as you're drawing when you're doing more detail. And I had kind of gone off a little bit, off course a little bit. But the thing is, every time he gives me an idea, like we were talking about the kids playing in the water hydrant, and he's like, well, then she should have on a bathing suit too. And I mean, if you get upset about, oh, this is not the best drawing or whatever, then you're not gonna. I don't really care how it makes me feel. I'm writing everything down. Okay, bathing suit. Wow, that's a fantastic idea. And then so I go back and I start changing the character a little bit and adding little. Here's the thing: when you're what's called a painterly illustrator, you can do a lot of the gestures and you can do a lot of the emotions in the cartoony kind of way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're not, but when you are painterly, you really have got to see people, and you've got to really explain a lot with body language. Mm-hmm. One example of a really, really well done illustration is, and it's a cartoon kind of illustration. And this is, I'm still talking about E.B., but if you remember in Bartholomew Cubbins and the 5,000 Hats, mm-hmm. the thing is, there's this one illustration where they're going up this stairway, and you see a hat with a more intricate, bunch of feathers. Each time the hat gets fancier as it goes up the steps, and there's a couple of steps, and then when you finally get back, you see him turned, and so you see that he's, freaked out by it, but he doesn't know what to do about it. And in the shadows underneath the stair, this kind of winding that makes no sense at all. There's a person hidden that's obviously sinister. I mean, right there, that's the whole story. And so with a mentor, like EB, I mean, every single thing he says is just so, oh my God, it's so great. We rarely really even concentrate on drawing. We're almost always talking about story.
That's interesting. His work is so highly representational and so distinctly E.B. Lewis. When you have a real powerful personality and art style like his, how do you keep your own identity and keep yourself from being overwhelmed and over-influenced maybe by his way of working or his approach to storytelling?
I only ever had one time where somebody told me they thought my work looked like E.B.'s. And it really scared me. And it was actually Pat Cummings. She saw a postcard I had, and she said, "Wow, you've been really influenced by E.B." Which of course I am, because he was one of my favorites from before. But then it was really weird because I ran into, man, I really am not name dropping here, but I'm just gonna.
Okay.
I ran into Paul Zielinski, right? And he told me, he said, we're in the bookstore or something, and he goes, he was looking at my piece and he goes, "Wow, this doesn't remind me of E.B. at all." And I went, "Wow, they must have talked, So, the thing is this, if you look at my earlier work, even my oils, I told Pat right there, I go, if you looked at my work, this is really so much my DNA. It looks so much like me. And I don't think we look anything alike, We pay a lot of attention to composition, But here's the deal with a mentor, especially a very talented and iconic mentor. Here's the thing. If you're in it because you're in it like you're thinking, well, I want somebody to like me and I want my stuff to be good. If you're thinking that, I don't know why you would even be in this. I mean, you have to be thinking, how can I make my vision better? What can I do? What can I get to, he's just feeding me stuff, and I'm going, oh man, I can make my idea really come out, because in the end, it's not even about rendering. It's really about idea. It is really about communicating that idea, because a picture book is a combination of a lot of things. A picture book is a combination of text, well-placed text, illustration, page turn, a physical embodiment of this whole idea, and it's really also merged with the audio, because I don't know of a single great picture book that exists that doesn't sound fantastic.
That's from the writing, right? If you're writing the book, yeah.
Just have the right goal. If you have the right goal, you're not going to care what he. He says stuff to me all the time, and I'm just like, I think he actually thinks about listening, because I'm like writing everything down, and he goes, Are you even listening to me? I'm like, yeah, of course I am, and I do. I take as much as he gives me to heart, and then every week is just leaps and bounds better than the week before. Every week, I love it when I can have it.
Well, your watercolor has just like you've just developed your own watercolor language, and you've just started using it, and he's a watercolor master, so that shows what good role models can do for somebody.
Yeah, but I'll give you an example of the kind of give and take on that. He didn't tell me, oh, okay. Well, he did tell me, get really good brushes, and I have nothing but Series 7 Kolinsky brushes, and I have really good watercolor, and all of that. But the thing is, he never told me, well, do it this way. While I'm painting, he'll look and he'll go, oh my God, are you using a phthalo green? Did you mix a phthalo green in there? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, don't do that. That's overpowering. Or on concrete, I never use a color straight out of the tube. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But we do a lot where I'm watching him draw or I'm watching him paint, because we do it over Skype, and then he watches me, you know, and he'll go, oh, you know, don't water it down by mixing it over here. Just mix it right on the paper, and it goes. You know, your experience is so much more immediate. You know, don't overplan watercolor.
Okay. Yeah, let the it's a spontaneous medium, I guess. All right, Mark, are you ready for another question, Carolyn? Different topic.
I went overboard on that one.
Another question, different topic. Okay, no, you didn't. That was good. We're all curious about working with mentors, and it's a wonderful thing, and it takes guts. It takes guts on your part to even step up for a challenge like that. To be working alongside some of these superstars. And Akiko and you are working on projects. Well, I don't know why he likes the San Antonio SCWI chapter.
I introduced him to it.
He's not working with any of us in Austin.
I introduced Akiko to EB. That's why.
Well, okay. Laura is asking, how much time do you put in most days to produce so many great pieces?
You know, I went through that tub today, and I could not believe the amount of work. I mean, just drawing after drawing, stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of drawings. I work, this is going to sound really ludicrous, but I work about a 16 to 18-hour session 4 times a week.
You work long hours, and
yeah,
and you work into the night.
Well, the reason I do that is because here's the thing: we waste a lot of time when we leave something and we come back to it. You know, trying to get back to that to where you need to be, and so my husband and I have kind of worked out a thing. Well, I'll wake up like at 8, and he'll actually help me by making little tidbits, because I will take a break. I mean, I take like a lunch break and stuff like that. You can't work straight through, or your work just going to turn into crap, you know. So we have fruits, and we have tea, and we have like little chicken salad sandwiches, and then occasionally I'll even take a break and go watch something with him, and I'm constantly talking with him. You know, what do you think of this idea? And we have a little whiteboard, and boom, 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 I'm drawing ideas, and he'll go, oh, you know, that's not reading the way you think it is, or whatever. So the reason I do that is because it's like a person's regular day. It's not really working like an idiot. You know, you have to be trying to accomplish something. But it's really difficult to get back to where you were when you come back on the next session. Although, a guy named Matt Della Pena, do you know him, the writer?
I've heard of him. I don't know him personally.
Oh my God, he's awesome. Everybody read his books. If you liked Hunger Games, you'll love The Living and The Hunted. But the thing is, he said that the best thing to do is that last half hour of your work, write down everything you want to come back to. And I do it. You know, write everything down I want to come back to next session. So the next session I come back and I have it right there, so I don't have to drain energy trying to get back to where I was as much. You know?
Carol, you're engaged in writing as well as painting and illustrating. I mean,
I started as a writer.
You started as a writer, yeah. And so you do both, and you incorporate both into your creative life. Children's book writing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. And your mom's a writer too, so an author as well.
Writer. Yes. My brother was a writer as well.
Yeah, and what?
My brother is a writer as well.
Your brother's. What is his name?
He started at writing copy for news things and all of that, and that's how he ended up being a news. He's a news anchor.
That's right. Yeah.
He just won recently he just won his 2nd Edward R. Murrow Award.
Akiko, are you a writer as well? Are you an author? Or are you working on picture book ideas?
Yes, actually I'm working a little bit with Bethany, but she's going to be a little busy. So
Bethany, because you just, yeah.
Back to her when she's done.
We just had her baby shower, so yeah. She can still write, though.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy, right?
That's fun. Let's see. Carolyn,
yes.
You were going to show us that dummy with the children, and I just cut you short. And I would love for us to be able to see that. Can we?
Well, you know, we can real quickly look at, oh, good, I can kind of see what's going on here. Okay, so here are some of the sketches, and you can see that they're very, very loose, you know?
Yes, they are loose. They don't look like mannequins, but you know, I want to tell you something that might make you.
I don't think I should be showing this, but
I want to tell you something that will make you feel better about mannequins. Did you know that Renoir, the Impressionist painter, was nervous about drawing children, and he got a little wooden child mannequin from a store in Paris, and he kept that in his studio, and he kept putting that little mannequin child in all of his group paintings and his picnic paintings, and he had that thing in the studio when he died, and it was actually part of that's not a cautionary tale. That's
no, I mean, that's very cool.
But he relied on that little child, and he would put bonnets, and in his paintings he would dress the mannequin in bonnets, and so you're in good company. Renoir was using a little very stiff wooden mannequin. I actually got to see it.
Now that I actually use of course my nephews and nieces, and I use Kiko's kids.
They're good age.
So cool. Go up. I'm like, oh my God, I need this now. And she goes, well, let's meet at this restaurant. Okay. We go out there. We'll drag poor Emma, and Emma's like changing in the parking lot.
Changing costumes. Okay. Sure. All right. So wait.
Let's show this. Let's show this since I did take these pictures just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. Full screen. Start screen share. Oh, and here we go. So this was. Can you still see me?
No, I'm seeing your desktop.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do this right now. Okay. So here is an example of a storyboard, but so you can see real gestural work here. Now I use 3 different kinds of pencils when I'm working because I don't, I'll show them to you in a minute. But I have like lead pointers, I have woodless graphite, and I also have those blenders that I use actually as drawing pencils for certain things, and then you know even mechanical pencil for certain things. But right here you can see that I'm using woodless, just graphite. It's almost like charcoal at that point, you know. So here we go, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on these because I don't even think I should be showing them, but here's an example of in InDesign. I think the very first part of doing a book, well, not the very first part is immersion. You start to immerse yourself in all of the you know, that the setting and you know, your characters and thousands and thousands of pictures and all that kind of stuff first. But the second thing would be to get this text get it pasted and get it placed on the page, you know, where you can see where there's to be a spot there, a spot there, a spot there, a spot there, or you know, or this is going to be divided into 2 illustrations or a big spread, you know, so that you start to see the text placement is just as visual as anything else. Here, I wanted to show you this kind of stuff, and I want to go through it real quickly because I really don't want people to see it, but I think it's really fair for people to see it, because here's the thing: before you even get to gestural, get down your ideas, whatever it takes. You know, you're going fast, and you want this to have you know, a real pace to it, and a real continuity, and a real story, you know, curve. So I just throw it down on paper. I even do the text. You know, I mean, as I'm doing the text, I'm doing these little ideas, which mean nothing to anyone else, but mean a lot to me. Also, just gestural work. Stephanie's here, and I did this at her house real quickly because I was scared right before I was going to go up on this panel, and I thought, oh my gosh, I actually should draw something, get an idea first. Just sketching. This is of course not going to turn up in any book, but just sketches of things that you're running into. Again, sketches. I was playing around with a really heavy pencil here and outlines, which it's really too cartoony for me, but I kind of liked it. Compositional studies. I wanted to see how that looked, and it obviously did not look as good as I really wanted, so I didn't use it. But you know, again, playing across. I'm not going to lie, I stole this idea from the Little Matador where he had the whole ring and everything, and I thought, oh, my tight wire circus is going to be just like the Little Matador, which didn't work out at all. Okay, so here, just real gestural work. I do a lot of gestural work with blue pencil, a lot. And so here I'm working on this horse for a project that my mother and I are working on, Pablo the Pinna Horse, which I absolutely adore. And I love these horse pieces because I really like the idea of going, and you'll see some thumbnails. I really like the idea of going. Let me get back to of making this horse a little bit more like a statue. You know, I started studying not only horses, but just horse statues, like the ones in Russia and the ones in Italy, and you know, all those famous Da Vinci statues. And I just love that idea. You know, I think I had JC order me some statues, but I don't have them here. Okay, so again, just playing around. This, I want to show this really quickly, and I don't mind people seeing this because it makes no sense to anyone, I'm sure, which is great. But JC had this idea for a postcard, and it is like a phenomenal idea. This is not a gestural drawing. This is not a compositional drawing. This is just getting the idea on paper so I can throw it in the corner while I'm working on my other books. And the idea of just doodling, sketching, grabbing every idea you have is really, really important, you know? This, Austin had a critique, a situation where they had Christine Bregno come in and critique a piece, a spread, based on the Pied Piper of Hamelin, and then she wanted us to, she was going to critique it, and then we were going to send in the finished drawing based on her critique. So this was the original sketch, which really, you can see I based it way too much on this underwater lily pad angle thing. I really liked it, but her criticism, I mean, and it's obviously very fluid, very loose, but she said, man, your background is really overpowering your composition and the idea of the characters and everything. And here's the thing, I was working on another book, so I thought, I only had a day to do this, and so I thought, if I'm going to do a piece like this, I better base it on a character I can draw, you know, like in 2 seconds, which is frogs, you know, because I do a lot of frogs. So I thought, let me just draw this frog playing the violin. So we did that, and if you'll see, this is what it turned into after her critique. I decided to get rid of the lily pads completely. I did just really loose. She also said, you need more frogs there. And I turned the little baby frogs into tadpoles. And then here I have my frog playing the violin, of which, you know, I didn't have a frog, obviously, playing the violin, but I did have a lot of pictures surrounding me of people playing violins. And I thought that this was just a really awesome forest of mushrooms, and that it just structurally worked real well. And then I showed it to EBA. He goes, I said, see, so it came out really, really well. And he goes, yeah, but what happened to the water? And I go, well, and the truth is, I didn't really want to put water in it because I really liked this as a spot kind of vignette. And I said, well, you know, I think it looks better like this. He goes, you turned it into a vignette. You just left out the water. I go, I know.
Thank you, yeah.
I go, but here's the point. You do have a point where sometimes you just go, well, I like this version better. You know what I mean? And that doesn't happen very often. You know,
your hunch played off here really well, because now we really do see these characters, and they're not being upstaged by the background. So, and they're really fun characters. So. Right,
and it's a very, very minimal palette. I mean, I used almost nothing on this. I just really absolutely loved it. And I think you just get a lot better feeling of the tadpoles floating through the water when you do use white space. And it's not that I don't like to do backgrounds. I love doing backgrounds. But in this case, I thought it was really about the silhouette. And so I was really, really, really pleased with this. You know? Right. Okay, so let's get out of that. And so you can see the original, you know, drawing. Here, a lot more of my sketches, a lot more of my drawings. You can see a lot more just stuff thrown around here, working on horses. Again, in this particular case, EB did say my work is just too pristine. You know, everybody I use looks like models and everything. I was using myself, and my husband was taking my picture. That just looks like you, Carolyn, with a lab coat on.
Nice try.
I'm not getting anything there, and I'm like, okay. But I did like the idea of the composition here. So, you know, I mean, it did tell the story. I'm gonna be really honest. I'm really, really enamored of those like the black and white Alice in Wonderland drawings, the pen and inks, and the I love Homer Price. You know, I love anything by Robert McCloskey. It's just I mean, those are seared into my mind. I just absolutely love that stuff. The Donut Factory and all of these great black and whites. And I did talk to a publisher recently that asked me if I would like to start doing the black and whites like on these chapter books. And I said, oh my God, yes. Why, you know? See, again, here, this was a story. It's just figures. But I like this setting. I like the crowd. It's, you know, you talked about crowd scenes in your course, remember? And I like a little bit of a crowd scene here. I didn't want to overdo it. You know, just playing around. But I think it does. It's very story-like, and I really like this.
And it feels loose. It feels nice and loose and comfy.
Sure.
And
I mean, it really is just about the marks. You know, I just love. You know, it just made me very happy to do this. Again, here's structural stuff. Some this is more, even if it's pretty hard lines. That's because it's a statue kind of not statuesque, but statue-based kind of drawing. So that's why they have those hard lines. But I think this is pretty loose. You know, I'm just working on expressions for the horse. And here you see a clear picture of my idea of okay, basically me and my niece. So, you know, that's what Evie goes, basically I just see Carolyn and her niece, you know. Yeah, and then here's Dallas, and then here's, oh, I don't care what anybody says, I absolutely love this little drawing. I love working on this skeleton, it's so fast, and I love working on eggs, and then Evie told me, he goes, wow, those eggs don't look like dinosaur eggs, they look like eggs you got out of the fridge.
The girl looks like Emma. Looks like Emma to me.
She does, you know. I think Dallas and Emma are so much alike. I love both of them. They're just guy hiding in the back. But again, I love the rays. I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of pictures that are really cool as standalones, but do they make sense in the story? No. So I've got stacks and stacks of stuff that maybe looked kind of cool, but if you know the story, it's not exactly right. And what you want to do is you want to take it to that next level and just nail that story. You know what I mean?
Okay, so, that's renewed emphasis on the story. That's interesting. Interesting advice from Evie.
This is an example of gestural just becoming a really nice piece. I mean, I just left the ink work in here. I just loved it. It was really loose. Even the watercolor was really loose. And I just wanted, I usually make a Christmas card for my friends at Christmas, and I loved this. I thought, you know, this path with just a big pain gray, just water slosh was just exceptional. I just loved it. I mean, it feels very good to me, you know? So okay, you wanted some true gestural work. And here again, of course, always having a square around what you're doing. My different ideas about a juggler, you know, and then you'll see here, black and white. We go to the finished piece, so then you have that, you know, and I think I even have more.
I see your nice value scale there off to the side. Excellent.
Oh my gosh, it's all about value, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think here, again, an earlier drawing, you know. But the thing is, I do tend to get carried away. Fabric is really important to me, and but I really did like this guy. I thought he was perfect. You know, this was. Did I already show you this to you guys?
Briefly, it's the tent you put up in your living room.
It's the tent I put up in my living room. Here you can see a lot of blue pencil work. Laura Susan, I'll just tell you, Laura Susan Thomas, Colleen Muskie, Akiko White, and Eileen Ryan. They're my critique group that I work with extensively. And so anyway, Laura Susan was telling me, Carolyn, I think you've grown up to the point where you can use blue pencil. So okay, so I bought a whole bunch of blue pencils and started doing this, which really is really good for gestural work. I mean, I can't even tell you how good it is.
Why is that, Carolyn?
Because you draw the blue underneath, and I don't have a picture of it right here, but then you start bringing in the pencil right on top of it, and you know, the blue doesn't overtake the pencil, but it sure does give you a real sense of form, you know. Now, none of these pictures were actually ever used, but you know, just constantly just drawing. Again, here, Now, what's so ridiculous about this is here I'm drawing what I was trying to consider thumbnails, but I'm also making lists of all of the songs I'm listening to. Mary J. Blige, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, Reach Out, I'll Be There, the Jackson 5. Really stupid. Sketching, this was that Beauty and the Beast thing I did. I was sketching some stuff in Fanny Billingsley's class. I wrote this for Pat. Again here, just thumbnails. Thumbnail, just real gestural. This is actually compositional work, you know? Okay, here are pictures of the actual, I just found these. I took all these pictures about an hour ago. So this is a picture of one of the watercolors. This is a really good example of good gestural work, and I'll tell you why.
Beautiful.
This is, you know, capturing the dress, but I really am really excited about doing hair this way. What I do is I just take a blender, one of those stump blenders, and I have it so inundated with graphite that I just draw real quickly, and then I start drawing sketches around it. I mean, like, you know, a woodless pencil, the lines around it, just to capture what I want, you know. And it's really good for shading. You can draw a hand or an arm and get that contour, which is all. I'm not really looking for shadows. I'm just really looking for form, you know. And that really is so fast. I think I don't know, 5 minutes. It's just really great.
Wow.
Here's another watercolor piece. These are examples of why these were first examples where I was looking at pictures of Las Carpas from the 1930s, and I was starting to look too much like actual people, and I didn't want to do that. So if you'll see here, I called, it says Artist Ramirez at sbcglobal.net. I called Albert Ramirez, he's another illustrator, and I was like desperate. 11 o'clock at night, I go, Albert, I need you to model for me, and he started sending me pictures more than that. And, so eventually he sent me one of him doing this, and so this was a first. This
was Albert doing the walk, the Charlie Chaplin walk. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so again, another watercolor, really, let's be honest, more of a study in palette. You know, again, snow cone colors, and just a study. Again, Albert posing for me. You know, Dallas Emma. Fabric studies. I love this. It really, it may not make anybody else happy. But it just really made me truly happy. We're also, you know, obsessed with cameras and little just gorgeous things like this, and I just loved it. Again, I love doing this piece. It didn't make any book, but but I just. Oh my God, it was just so fun. There's so much activity here, and obviously I messed up some things, but it just.
This is a story about a Mexican circus family, or what's the thumbnail? What's the?
It's about a little girl whose family has the Las Carpas. The Las Carpas is the Mexican tent circuses of the 1930s, and so she's involved in that, in the story of her becoming, you know, more a part of her family. And so, I mean, I think I have something like at least 10,000 to 12,000 images that
this is a story written by your mom.
Written by my mother. Yeah. So we're working on that. We're going back and forth with people right now. So
fantastic.
I can't really talk that much about it. But again, this is just colored pencil. I just used, I think 2 or 3 colored pencils to do this. And I'm starting to try to build a little stage here, and then I'm starting to realize I'm way too removed from the circus. So I really was never going to be able to do the huge tent, except maybe on a, you know, an end piece or something like that. And again, we're back, I think, at the beginning, right?
Yeah, we are. And I got a question for you, Carolyn.
Sure.
While we've got the time, I want to get this in. You grew up all over the country, and you lived in Europe and in Okinawa. And you didn't grow up in the.
I did not go to the United States.
Like
No. Well, I did until I was about in first grade, starting second grade, and then we moved to Thailand.
You're in Thailand, formative years, Thailand, Okinawa, and were you in Germany for a while too, or
no? I was only ever in Asia. My
Asia.
sister's been to Europe, but actually my whole family's been to Europe, except for me.
Except for you. Well, your time will come. But
No,
that gives you a, huh?
My family used to go like to places, and they'd go, well, Carolyn, are you coming? And I would be like, I have a gig.
I have a music gig.
So I was always.
So that gives you an interesting perspective on from which to talk about multicultural publishing, multicultural children's books. You've seen the controversy that's been going on. Can you give us your thoughts about where multicultural publishing is? Do you agree that there's a real dearth and a criminal neglect of this kind of book by publishers? Or not criminal, that's a loaded word.
Yeah, let me just say these two things.
Okay.
One, I did think about it quite a bit because you were talking to me about it quite a bit. And I thought about it this way. Two, I've been very privy to being able to see things firsthand, to see the effect of multicultural books on children.
Okay.
And that has been just, there's a story, my mother and I went to a school visit, and like set up at a library, and you never know if it's going to be like really little ones, or if it's going to be like elementary, or, I mean, even when you go to schools, I basically really rarely know who I'm going to be speaking to. Sometimes it's high school, college, sometimes junior high, and one day we walked in and it was all pregnant women, So you never know who your audience is going to be, and we went to this little library Arte Publico had set up, because my mother has 6 books out with them, and they had set up a little school visit at a library there, and we went, and there was maybe 7 kids. I mean, very few. And so that doesn't bother me at all. So I was just like, I had my puppet, and I was reading the book, and then the kids were following along so excitedly, I started to let them read the book, right? And there was this one little girl, and there was a little black girl, and and her mother was there, and it got to her turn, and she didn't want to read, and the mother said, you don't understand, she only reads in Spanish, and I said, you read in Spanish? I said, could you read, because those books are both in English and in Spanish.
Nice.
So she started reading in Spanish, and you could see she had walked in kind of like her head was like hanging really shy. By the time she walked out, she was smiling, her head was up, she was so proud, and her mother was just, tears were just streaming down her mother's face. I mean, so that is an example of how important it is to have something that's accessible for kids. Here's the other thing. Kiko and I have talked about this. We talked about the Japanese anime, how it, kind of the crossover. I mean, if you think about music, rock and roll crossing over, even, I've always been really big on the crossover. But here's something that's really been on my mind very recently, and it's this thing about I don't know if you've been seeing these shows on Find Your Roots, Your DNA, and all that kind of stuff. I gotta tell you, I am like so obsessed with Mayan culture, and I wasn't, since I grew up in the United States and moved right away and didn't come back till I was already, pretty grown. I do have some Asian influences, but the truth is, I mean, I seek out anything that has to do with the Mayan. I'm hoping that shows up in my DNA if I ever do a test. I mean, it would be weird if it was not that. But I mean, all of these little things, I mean, that you find yourself just constantly thinking about. It's part of your culture, and I mean, I think, wow, just learning. I mean, I'm sure I have European background as well, and Mexican American and Indian and Native American and hopefully Mayan and all that stuff. It's just, oh my God, I get so excited watching these shows about them and studying them and drawing them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
That's neat. That's so interesting.
I don't know that a political stance. I think we just need to, we have some beautiful books. I think that they just need to be seen. You know, I don't know what else to say about it.
Akiko, do you mind chiming in on this topic too? Because you've got a German parent and a Japanese parent.
Yeah, my mother is Japanese and my father is German-Irish.
German-Irish.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about my Japanese. I mean, it's Japanese, but I have some family in the northern part of Japan, and I kind of think maybe there's some Russian in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Very fair skin. I don't know, but it's very interesting. Yeah, I think I would love to just research about that. But I do want to. I like to incorporate some things that are Asian inspired. I've been trying to do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And Carolyn, do you see a future, a big future, a growing future for bilingual books with Spanish in it, or just Spanish language books alone? Do you see?
Oh my God, yes, because I think
opportunity.
I do. I see tsunami. I think it's already starting. I mean, you see for the first time this year we had 6 Caldecott honor books and one medalist. That's 7 Caldecott winners this year, and one of them, Frida. I gotta say, Frida by
Yuji Morales.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The thing about that, a lot of people talk about the art and everything, but there's something that's really, and you gotta give Neil Porter credit for this as well. Man, every time that guy makes a book, he just breaks boundaries.
Neil Porter with Roaring Brook Press. Yeah.
So the thing is, it is the first book ever. And I'm trying to do this. I was trying to do this, and I talked to my publisher about it. I'm trying to do the English and the Spanish together. When they're talking, it's not like English. I mean, at least for those little pieces, it's not like just English and then Spanish, which is really great. That's a step forward. But in Frida, it's like the English and the Spanish kind of welded together. And you don't even notice it because it's just so beautifully done. I mean, that was just a monumental breakthrough. But the truth is, look, I mean, yesterday Tut was on TV, and all of these, great adventure movies based on all the different mythical gods and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's all cultural stuff. That's all. It's just awesome.
Do you know of a wealth of untapped, let's say, Mexican American or Mexican folklore, or are there stories that haven't been mined yet in children's books? I know you're not making a specialty of.
Well, I'm sure there are, but if there's one person that you should look at, it's Duncan Tonatiuh. Oh my God!
Yeah, we'll put a link up to his page. He
did a book called "Separate is Never Equal," and another one, Diego Rivera. If I could show it to you, I mean, I have these books here. Actually, did you want to ask Akiko a question, and I'll just go grab one because it's worth looking at real quickly.
Akiko, have you ever thought of tapping? Let me put Akiko up. We're really working you hard tonight, Akiko. You were just coming out as a friendly guest. But do you ever think about Japanese folklore, bringing that into maybe your illustration, your storytelling?
I've kind of looked into that. Some of the stories are a little, Japanese humor is a little different than American humor, and so sometimes I don't know how the balance is, but I wanted to look into some of the, because there are several stories that they have that I think of that could be illustrated. And
you know that northern part of Japan, is it Hokkaido, or where, is that a different culture and folkloric culture than the southern part?
I don't really know. I haven't really researched that much.
Yeah.
But I know, like, each province has a different dialect. Even so, I'm sure there are different, and I know there's different stories from different. So maybe there would be, but I'm thinking of stories that are typical for every, all over Japan. The stories that have been told over and over. There are several, and I've seen there are some children's books on those. I think. I guess I would try to have to find something that hasn't been done.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot to think about.
Okay, can you guys see this?
There's Duncan's work. Okay, yes.
Oh my gosh,
those
page after page. He based it on like the Mayan hieroglyphs.
Right.
He went down and he was doing some architectural. I mean, I guess some digs and stuff. But the thing is, what he does is he takes this kind of Diego Rivera kind of Mayan hieroglyph language, visual language, and then he converts it to modern. Let me see the best what it would be like we're telling today's stories in that vein. And I mean, he's just done such.
He's got a consistency.
Monumental. It's just so, and it's so rich and so interesting. I mean, who doesn't like that? Another person, Aaron Becker. Now I have Journey, but Aaron Becker, if you look at his, like his castles and stuff, and he has such great architectural detail in here. I know he worked. I think he worked for Disney as a set storyboardist or whatever. But the thing is, you can see all different types of cultures in the architecture. He's got turrets and castles and all sorts of different. I mean, like every culture is represented. So there's also the mashup, which a lot of people haven't really been aware of as they're seeing this stuff. They just go, "Oh my gosh, that's really cool." But I think it's so prevalent. I don't even see why it's an issue. It's kind of like saying, I mean, I see why it's an issue to get this stuff out. I think that's really important. I'm very supportive of that. But it's kind of like, somebody asked Maya Angelou, well, should this be literature or not? She goes, it's literature if people read it.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Right?
Okay, I'm going to switch you though from content to technique, and Akiko has very kindly put up a photo of I think there's some of your color pencils, Carolyn, and I think so. They're color pencils. Oh, and there's a horse. She put up the horse sculpture too with some clay on it too. So you have to, and the tent.
I'm not seeing any of it. Am I hitting it wrong?
But you have worked in color pencils extensively, and Joel Cook was asking, have you ever used color pencils? Watercolor pencils.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna just look. If I just pull this out, I have tons of watercolor pencils. I mean, just.
Do you use them like watercolor, or do you use them like colored pencil?
I don't use them. I don't use them because I loved them when I first started with them. But I really need saturated pigment. The one thing that really drives my work. We talked about this too. I don't care if it's got some colored pencil in there, or if it's got watercolor pencil, or I mean, I imagine if it worked, I would use oil. There are some things that don't mix. Obviously, and you have to be very, very careful because you don't want to change the style or change the feel of the piece of work. However, I'm just really about pigment,
Okay.
That's why I made such a very easy transition from oil to watercolor.
That keeps it simple. That keeps it simple for us.
Same thing with colored pencil. I mean, it's really about, how alizarin crimson.
Alizarin crimson.
Alizarin.
Yeah, cool red or warm red. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so now tell us how gesture influences your composition. How important is gesture to you were alluding to it and hinting around it, but can you just address that directly? And
gesture is everything in composition.
Gesture is the composition.
It's everything, because at first I would, I really love the idea of, okay, here's a really good example. I have a situation where, in the book that I'm working on right now, where the mother is on a fire escape, and behind her, her daughter, whose birthday it is leaning out of the window, like one of those big windows in like, say, the Bronx, like brownstone kind of thing, and she's leaning over the window, and the mother is watering plants, and the thing is, you could have the mother watering a plant, and then you have the watering can and everything, but the truth is, I really wanted a mother-like presence, and so I started studying Vermeer. And if you look at Vermeer and all of his paintings of women, like the milkmaid, where she's holding the
pitcher and the milk and the basin,
and how he's got her standing, it's just so beautiful. And so I ordered this ridiculously fabulous water can, and then I had JC just take pictures of me holding it, and then eventually I got the lady that's modeling for the mother to do that too. And so I really wanted that kind of a look of her holding it, and the water coming out here, and then her just kind of glancing back. But if you think about that, that's a lot of body movement. It's subtle, but it's really important, and that's a real compositional pose, but it's not forced. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. And
Would
it's
really
being influenced by the weight of the water in the can or the milk and the
Think about that whole statue with the disc thrower, and people have said, well, a guy doing the disc throw, he wouldn't really stand like that, but the statue itself has so much energy.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're really trying to capture.
Yeah.
So gestural, just capturing those things in especially, the reason I'm saying that is because gestural has so much to do with anatomy. And anatomy, even if you have these great like angles coming in and all sorts of things, and maybe you've got it perfectly situated on the spread, it's still really, with a picture book, at least the kind I do, it really comes to the inferences of the person. You know, actually, Pat Cummings said, you know, people, if they're surprised, you know, you have beginning students, they say, well, how does a person look like when they're surprised and they're holding their mouth open or whatever? And then but she goes, but you know, beginning students will just have a mouth open, and that could mean a lot of different things. So you want to really capture that, and you can do that with gestural to a great extent. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I feel gesture is the very essence of the whole thing. We're on the same page, and I bet Pico feels the same way.
We agree, Mark.
We usually agree. We're wrapping up. You know, we could talk for hours, and we do talk for hours. But we're going to wrap it up now. This would be a good time if there's any. We can take a couple questions if you guys have some questions for Kiko and Carolyn. Kiko, thank you for posting those terrific images. Those gave us photos for our Google Live events that are really attractive.
I took from her Facebook.
You took right from your Facebook. I'm going to show.
You guys have.
I want to share my screen for just a second because I want to show Kiko's cake at one of Carolyn's book signings. And
are you going to show the video?
Oh, I was going to show the still from the video. I don't think I can transmit the video. We can put the link up to the video if you want. But let me show you what I'm talking about, Carolyn. And while we're doing this, you guys be thinking of some last-minute questions. We're about to wrap things up here, but let me do this if I can.
I'd like to tell this story real quickly.
Go ahead. You tell while I find my image.
I had a book launch that day for Dolly 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 at Barnes & Noble, and it was my birthday, so it was a year ago yesterday. And the thing is, so I didn't know this, but you know, so I was giving my presentation, and we had slides and all of that. And there was little kids there, of course, because you know I have a lot of friends that are young, and so I gave this presentation, and then and in walks Emma with a little tiny cake that looks exactly like the cake in my book.
That's a Kiko's one.
Oh my gosh! And behind them was like this train, because they had this big cake, and it was there was a tree standing up, and it had a piñata on it, and it was like a three-dimensional exact setting of this piece I had worked on forever in the book. It was like the book come to life, and then they had this big blanket or something underneath it, and they walk in, and I was so stunned because you don't know what it's like to see your book come to life. It's just freaking cool. I mean, it's like one of the best moments of your life. And then Kiko hands me this little bat, and she goes, okay, and all the people around, she goes, hit it. And I go, what? And she goes, hit the cake. And I went,
Cake.
what do you mean? You mean like, she goes, yeah, just swing at the piñata. And I went, really? And then so everybody gathered around, and then right at the last minute, I had this little bat, and I was going to swing it, and I went, are you sure this is going to work? And Kiko goes, yeah, and then I hear her go, I'm pretty sure. I went, Oh my God. And then and so I hit it, and it was made of candy glass, like sugar. What is it called, Akiko?
It's gum paste. It dries hard.
Okay.
It's
And
like
it
just yeah.
shattered, and candy came flying out, and I was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh. And what had happened was my mother had called Akiko and said she wanted a book for my book launch, and a birthday, and Akiko goes, oh. And she goes, I just want the picture of the book on the cake. And Akiko goes, oh, we can do way better than that. We're gonna make a cake, and we're gonna make it's gonna break open, and things are gonna. And my mom's like, oh no, 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 no. We are not gonna do that. And Akiko goes, yeah, yeah. And my mom was scared to death. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and I think the expressions on these children's faces, this enchantment that they're showing, says it all.
Well, I saw some of those kids about a week ago, and they came up to me. They go, "Can we go to your birthday party again?" And I was like, I didn't realize. They're like, "Are you gonna invite us to your birthday party?" I go, "It wasn't a birthday party. It was." Forget it,
Oh, that is just great. That is just great. I'm going to check the plus page one more time to make sure we're not missing some important questions. Okay, Edith is asking, how did you develop your skills for gestural drawing?
Draw.
Just draw.
Honestly, that's part of it. Really, really. I think trying to create a shorthand, but I also studied a lot. I checked out I didn't check them out. I bought a lot of books on dynamic anatomy. I mean, look at all these Hogarth books on anatomy. And I also took a lot of drawing courses, like college drawing courses, and I use this stuff all the time. And then, I didn't want to be embarrassed. I used to actually, when I was first working with EB, I would actually make really great drawings and then pretend like they were like gestural, like mess them up a little.
I just knocked this off. Yeah, yeah.
But the truth is, you get over that real quickly, because if you can't draw in front of somebody that you're trying to work with, you're not gonna be able to do anything. But I still to this day. I mean, every minute that I have free, I'm like drawing spheres, cubes, muscles. Right now I'm really big on the head, looking at different aspects of the head, how it goes together, how to represent it, different, where this comes over the eye, and I mean, it's something.
A great way to begin studying all of that is just by starting with a gesture, right? Just to start scribbling, start drawing.
I have to say, when you go out I would go to the zoo and do these sketch days and stuff, and I would draw really fast. And I think your body just kicks in. You automatically just start, and I'd show those pieces to people, and like Julian, Hector, and all those people, they go, oh, that's really good, and it would be something you did in a second, like. So you have to force yourself to be in situations where you have to draw fast, to be quite honest.
Very good. Well, you're getting lots of kudos here on the page, more kudos than questions, and I like Allison's comment. She says, love that music is such a part of your process. And she says, I love being a fly on the wall. She says, I love being a fly on the wall in your world. Thank you so much for letting us take a peek. Technology is amazing. Love the quick sketches and gesture work. I'm so inspired. Your energy rocks. It is evident that you love what you do and make the process fun. That's a nice comment. And there are many other comments coming in just like that.
Facebook friend me, Edith.
Yeah, and Donna says, I love the frog playing the violin. Beautiful sketches, Carolyn. That's Akiko says that. Deb says, this is a fabulous session. Thanks for letting us see your style up close, Carolyn. Hi, Mark and Akiko. And Steph says that was fun. You guys, this is a great time for you to type in your thank yous to Carolyn and Akiko. And
I wish we'd had more questions. That was my fault. I just went on and on.
No, you did a great job. We really appreciate your sharing so candidly with us all this great stuff. You're so honest about what you talk about. I love your.
There's a reason I'm honest about it, is because the best stuff I've ever gotten was from people being honest with me. Julian Hector, he was showing us some work that he did that was just really incredible, and this author had him do it. Was actually Roald Dahl's grandson, and then we were all sitting there and asking him some questions, and then we said, well, did you get the book? And he goes, no, but Dahl got the book, and then he said, I think it was Amy that asked him why what happened, and he goes, it just wasn't that editor's vision for the book, you know. But the thing is that it really made me think, you know, you do a lot of concepts that are taken, you do some that aren't, you know, you do a lot of work that will never be seen. But here's the thing, everybody goes through that. That's why I wanted to show you the real stuff, because I could sit here and pretend like everything I draw just comes out really great, which we all know that doesn't happen. So I think it's really important to see, you know, that you're really getting something important down. Those few communicative sketches at the beginning, even before the gestural ones, those are really important, because that gets you on the road to putting this thing together. It's a big movie, you know. Very
good. Yeah, really great point. And including the little notes you wrote for yourself. I see a lot of verbal, handwritten cues to yourself that you're doing. So it's the whole Gestalt kind of process. Charlotte Dixon says, thank you, Carolyn, Mark, and Akiko. This has been a great evening of illustration advice with the three of you. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for showing up. And Akiko, do you have any advice for illustrators who
advice for Carolyn, Akiko?
Do you have any advice for Carolyn?
I think persistence, and she's got that. But
I'm really persistent, and I'm Akiko all the time. I'm on Akiko all the time. I'm like, she called me. She was worried about something, and I go, you know what? You need to submit this tonight, because, and she really did. I said, and I'll stay up with you. And she goes, okay, I'll call you in an hour. And I'm like, we're like, I'm like, you need to do this. Just, you know, get some coffee and just stay up. And she was like, okay. And you know, I don't bully her, but.
Very good. Well, you guys are helping to put San Antonio and San Antonio illustrators on the map for sure. That's it, guys. I think we'll break off there. We'll have the replay up pretty quick here in a few seconds, I think. And
seriously?
Also, yeah. We don't do it. Google does it, and YouTube.
I want to say something real quickly. I want to say, I know that my brother said he was going to watch this. He's doing the news right now, so he can't do that. But so I'm really proud of him. The Edward R. Murrow Award is a really big deal. And
Edward R. Murrow Award for broadcasting.
Right. He is now the main anchor at his news station, and also my mother has had such a big influence on me. She works with me probably even more than Akiko. I mean, we go back and forth a lot. I mean, every day. And
Ruiz Flores is she's a
pretty big writer, and she got me into this in a way that worked for me. So this was really.
She's wonderful. Yeah, this is great. And if you all have questions that you didn't think of to ask tonight, I bet if you put them up there on the Google Live event page, which will still be up for a while, a few days, I bet Carolyn will answer them. That's what I bet.
Of course.
That's what I think. So we'll stop tonight, and thanks everybody for showing up, and we will catch you on the next broadcast. I guess that's what it's called. Broadcast. Hangout.
So glad to see you, Mark. See you later.
Great to see you, Karen. And Akiko, thanks again. Good to see you all. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, Carolyn.